So later this month, the Moscow City Court will hear an appeal from the defense of Evan Gershkovich, the reporter working in the Moscow bureau of the Wall Street Journal. He's being held in a notorious Russian prison for nearly a week now, accused of espionage. He pleaded not guilty, and he's filed an appeal against the arrest, and that hearing is actually set for April 18th. Well, the Biden administration is working to designate him as wrongfully detained, and his lawyers were able to meet with him in person behind bars this week for the very first time. Well, his detainment is reminiscent of the 2014 imprisonment of an Iranian-American Washington Post journalist, Jason Rezaian, who was also working in the Tehran bureau when he was held unjustly for 544 days. Jason joins me now to give his unique perspective on this. So, Jason, just your thoughts.
Well, Kira, thanks for covering this. I think my initial thought is that it's so similar to what happened to me in Iran in 2014. Obviously, Russia and Iran are two very different countries, different legal systems, but ultimately they're both authoritarian states that don't abide by the rule of law in the same way that we here in the United States or in other democratic countries think of it. And the way that they've leveled these charges against Evan is so farcical and outlandish and really designed to create outrage. But ultimately, as I learned very quickly in my own case, Evan is being held because he's an American citizen. And whenever that happens, it might take a little bit of time for the State Department to do their due diligence and come to a wrongful detention designation. But that will happen, and I think it will happen extraordinarily quickly in Evan's case.
So okay, well, all right, that's good. But you were held for 544 days. What was that like? How were you treated? What was it like on a daily basis? And did you ever have hope that you were going to get out of there?
I had a variety of experiences. A year and a half is a very long period of time. For the first 7 weeks, I was held in solitary confinement, incommunicado, unable to communicate with my wife or anybody else. So I had no idea what was going on. She was also being held in solitary confinement, and we were unable to have a lawyer, unable to communicate with our relatives on the outside. So we really didn't understand what was happening at first, and it's designed to kind of make you go nuts, and it works. Then as time goes on, the various stories that your interrogators and captors tell you is that you're about to be released, or we're going to execute you tomorrow, or you're going to spend the rest of your life here. All of those things designed to keep you unstable and confused and off your feet. So it was a horrific experience that 7 years after my freedom is still with me and always will be. And it's all the more reason when a fellow journalist gets arrested, or any fellow American is taken prisoner in a foreign country in cases that it is presumed and proven to be because of their U.S. citizenship, I'm one of the first people to come out and say, hey, we got to do whatever we can to bring these people home.
So when it comes to Evan, why do you think it's happening? Clearly, these charges are false. And so why do this, and why do this now? What's in it for Moscow? Is it because of what's going on with the U.S. and Ukraine?
Certainly. I mean, there are a couple of things at play. Anytime an authoritarian regime is being criticized by members of the independent press, you can expect attacks on journalists. Oftentimes, those are against journalists who are domestic reporters working inside the country for local media outlets. When that happens, it's a very clear message being sent to other journalists to stop practicing your craft, stop exposing corruption or other wrongdoings by a state that's in power. When it is a foreign journalist, and when it is in one of these cases where they are being accused of espionage or other crimes against a state's national security, it's almost always a case of a hostage taking, where the end game of the regime in power, in this case Russia, is to try and extract a concession from the United States of America. We saw that in Brittany Griner's case. We saw that in Trevor Reed's case. Paul Whelan, who has been sitting in prison in Russia for almost 5 years, is waiting for a day that the U.S. government negotiates his release. And this is all part of a trend within Russia, but also within other states. Iran is doing it, China is doing it, and even some of our friends, our supposed friends, countries like Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Egypt, have been known to do this from time to time.
Well, I think it's fair to say we're both going to stay on this story. And Jason, it's just so great to get your perspective and your insight. It helps us process it. And I hope to be interviewing you and Evan side by side upon his return. Thank you so much for your time.
I look forward to that day, and I hope it's soon. Thank you.
Thanks so much for streaming with us. I'm Kira Phillips. The news never stops here on ABC News Live. We've got a lot more ahead. Don't go far.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.